Hey, good morning, Las Vegas. Thanks for joining us back here on Vegas Realty Check, your local Las Vegas real estate news show. I'm Trish Williams.
And I'm Tiana Carroll. Welcome back. Each week we cover all the news, trends, and what's going on in the Las Vegas real estate market. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe if you want to keep up to date to what is happening in Las Vegas. So speaking of keeping up to date, what's going on in Vegas, girl?
Well, I have some great news of something coming to Las Vegas that
I'm looking it up right now.
Literally stumbled across last week. It's called Spaceport.
Okay.
So Spaceport is going to be, it's going to be like a huge facility, a resort. It's supposed to attract over 22 million visitors.
Okay.
It's going to provide, or not provide because it's very costly, but you will actually be able to take a rocket trip out of space, out of space.
Okay, and why is this important to Vegas?
It is going to be right in between Vegas and Puhrump. So the location is actually going to be Puhrump, but it's on. Local people may be familiar with like an old Vegas thing called Cathedral Canyon that's like right in the center of like Vegas and Puhrump, like on the road out.
Okay.
So they purchased 260 acres out there. And this is where they're planning on building and developing this facility.
So
now,
is this it? The gateway to space?
So put Spaceport Las Vegas.
Okay, because this is New Mexico.
Yeah, no,
They're
not
doing their own thing over there.
Not New Mexico, Spaceport Las Vegas. So they are, the interesting thing about this is it doesn't look like they've broken ground on anything yet, but Review Journal has reported on it. I've read several articles about it. But
there's all kind of news.
Yeah, they are booking.
I need my space. That's a funny catch line.
They're taking reservations already for 2024. So I don't know if they're going to superpower the building of this facility or what, but it is pretty darn amazing. So they'll also have like zero gravity simulations where you can like simulate like you're in space, which is kind of crazy.
Okay. And because they have like a VR training and they have zero gravity training, and then it looks like it almost looks like some sort of, I'm terrible with aircrafts, forgive me out there. I know we're right here by the Air Force Base, I should know stuff, but it looks like some sort of jet or something, 500 miles an hour, fastest motorsport experience in the world.
Yes, so I called it a rocket, jet, I don't know what you want to call this thing.
Rockets and jets are a little bit different.
But it goes out of space.
Well, it doesn't go.
It orbits the Earth.
Right, it orbits the Earth.
Yeah,
so it's a fly to the edge of space is how they are presenting it on their website. So that's really interesting. I never saw anything about that.
Can you believe it's amazing. And they're also going to be having a STEM academy for kids after high school.
That is so
that will
awesome.
Be training them, space, all kinds of space stuff.
Yes, all the STEM. There should be programs across the country for everything STEM.
Yeah, so this is a really exciting thing that's coming to Vegas, and I feel like it's been under the radar. When I searched, someone had mentioned it to me, and I'm like, I think I would have heard about that. And then I looked it up, and I'm like, well, there's actually been articles about it, but it hasn't been major news circulating, so it was kind of under the radar.
So yesterday, ironically, I was in Puhrump, and we did some Chamber of Commerce and looked at new developments and things that are happening out there, and nobody out there the entire day. I was like, I want to know everything Puhrump. Nobody said anything.
Nobody's mentioned this. Yeah, so that's odd. But yeah, it's been reported. So I do believe it's there, and it says that they're taking reservations already and pre-booking things, and it says coming 2024. So we will see if it happens.
Check it out, Vegas. We're gonna have a bullet train to California. We're gonna have these jets that you can orbit to the Earth and the edge of space right here out of Vegas. That's pretty awesome. We love tourist money. Bring all your tourist money to our experiences.
Well, on that note, back to real estate.
Okay.
What is that going to do for housing in Puhrump?
Well, I think housing in Puhrump, just going out there yesterday and seeing everything that is planned and that they're speccing, because it's sort of like a changing of the guard happening right now, right?
Oh, yeah.
The let's say the hierarchy of the community is now aging out and newer people are taking over in politics and planning. And so at one time they wouldn't let a Starbucks out there. It was still in like the Albertsons or whatever. And finally years later they got a permit. Now they have like Starbucks, and they're getting a Walmart and a Lowe's out there. I mean, a Target.
I was going to say they had a Walmart. I remember when the Walmart came, like every person I talked to in Puhrump was like, I'm wearing this shirt I got from Walmart. They were all excited.
Yeah, Walmart. Now they're going to have a Target and they're going to have a Lowe's, and then of course they have the master plan of Mountain Falls with Ovation and Ventana and other things like that. So just to have this out there is going to be great. And I think that as Vegas gets sort of priced out of the average Joe Blow buying homes anymore moving forward, say 2024, 25, Puhrump will be a very viable source, because I saw some really cute projects going up there. And little 1,105 square foot house, single family on an 8,000 square foot lot and block wall. There's not a lot of block wall that happens in Puhrump. It's all fencing and chain link, and they're putting up block wall, which is an expensive upgrade, like 14 plus millimeter floors and what have you. It's all good, and they were at $279.
Yeah, Puhrump pricing is still amazing.
Yeah.
So it's definitely becoming a source for like hospitality workers and things like that they're just having a hard time affording a single family home in this city.
And it's not bad. It was a 40-minute drive from the Summerlin office going through Red Rock Canyon. It's beautiful. I mean, I've sold property in Puhrump before. I grew up in this town. I know exactly what Puhrump is like. But for people coming from other parts of the world, and they're just like, well, let's go to Puhrump. It's the same as Vegas. No, it's different than Vegas, but you get the luxury of being 45 minutes away from a world-class destination, an international airport, top-rated food and shopping and everything, and then you get that country life. So it's kind of a cool little spot if seclusion is your gig. If you want to be in an urban area, obviously Puhrump is not for you.
Yeah, Puhrump still has that very small town vibe.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. It almost felt like it was going back in time, and I was with people who do a lot of business out there, and we were like going into like the Terribles to go have lunch, which lunch I can't believe was really good out there. I was expecting not to be great, but it was really good. And it was like walking into the bar, cheers, like everybody, like, hey Norm, and that's how it was with the people I was with. Everybody knew each other. The bartender was also the pastor. And I'm like, wait, so you're gonna forgive all the sins we have at this bar on Sunday, right? That's how this is gonna work.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a little bit like going back in time, but if you do want that like small country rural feel, it's a good option. It's still affordable, and they have plans of developing. So just like Vegas did, it's going to grow and its values are going to go up.
Yeah, Puhrump reminds me of Vegas when I was a kid.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. Like it is it has just that old Vegas vibe of like the way the people are and everything. That's how this town was when back in, I'm not going to date myself.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't say anything. We were just kids. We were just
a long time ago, or not that long ago.
Yeah, it feels like yesterday.
Yeah.
But even when we grew up, it was still sort of a desert town. I think because it's so big and developed and whatever right now, we don't, pay so much attention to the desert. But when you go out to Puhrump, you have that, desert landscape and horse riding and all of the things that get harder and harder to do in the city.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, back to Vegas.
But we haven't even hit our numbers yet. That's usually what we do within the first 5 minutes of the show. Here we are 10 minutes in, and we didn't even talk about what's going on with that stock and inventory. All right, so go ahead and start.
Single family inventory is still under 4,000. We're at 3,830.
Yeah, a little tick up. Mm-hmm. We had the same tick up in sold. I didn't realize it. I was like, 36. I saw the last two numbers and I was like, we went down. But we were at 436, not 336, which means we're up about 60, 70 homes from last week that were sold.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the month.
Yeah, and that's great. And over the past few weeks, this market's been so just on and off, right? So over the past few weeks, I have seen an uptick of activity.
Oh, yeah.
And now, like, going into this week, it seems like it's slowing back down again. So, I'm like, oh, well, hopefully this is just a trend. In 2 more weeks, it'll be busy again. So we'll see. But price decreases.
Every day's a different day in Vegas, man.
Yeah, we are. We're just in this, like, can't predict it market, right?
Ooh, our crystal ball was pretty good before, but now I'm like doubting. I'm like, oh, so the whole world is weird.
Yeah,
Fine.
I'm just like, we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, but the price decreases are staying around the same.
Yeah, $475 for the week in price decreases. I mean, people are still needing to adjust those prices, which brings us to today's topic.
It is today's topic.
Yes.
Today we are going to talk about those pricing pitfalls for sellers and how you can avoid those and things that make more sense than just going, I want the most amount of money.
Yes, absolutely. So going back to what we've said over and over and over again, which is still so true, is the market that we're in right now, because of the environment of rates, because of the prices, we are in the homes that are listed. You're in a price war in a beauty contest.
Totally.
Like you have to price right and you got to present right. You got to have that house at its best. And there's no exceptions to that, really, if you want to get your home sold and get the most value for it.
Yeah, because even though we are in technically a seller's market because of low inventory, it is so difficult right now with those high interest rates, some of them up over 8%, for buyers to get into homes. So you have to be really aware of the market conditions, which is always important when it comes to pricing your home. Market condition is a big deal, but it's even more so, I think, a factor right now. And that's one thing that people overlook when they price their home.
Absolutely. And, there's times that I've had these conversations or like been in the middle of this situation with sellers where it's like, okay, let's do a price adjustment, 5 or 10,000. And they're like, what's that going to do? What good is that?
Right.
It's not the price. How's that going to make a difference? And those things. And there's been times where a home with zero activity, just that price adjustment all of a sudden gets activity. It is. There's a number that people are looking for, and if you don't hit it right the first time, you gotta adjust, and you gotta adjust quickly. You don't want your home.
And you want to adjust quickly, and you want to be sort of definitive about it. You don't want to be sort of fumbling around in the dark and maybe just drop a little here or drop too much and leave money on the table or accumulate days on market because you're not dropping enough.
Yeah, and having a strategy, and I always like to. I always like to make sure that whatever adjustments we're doing, we're staying within brackets.
I love a bracket.
Yeah, like a $2,000 adjustment. If you were at 650 and you adjusted 2,000, and that puts you at 648. Like where. What bracket are you in? You're still
you're still 650.
Yeah, you're not, you got to go down to that next bracket, because those are on a lot of online searches, those are what people search by is the bracket.
So speaking as to online search, one of my favorite pitfalls is that people love to run to the internet because everything on the internet's true.
Oh, yes.
And they get to go to the internet to their favorite Z site. I won't even say it. I'll let you say it someday. And they like to get their
Zestimate.
Oh, stop it.
Yes, your Zestimate.
Yes.
And my Zestimate said that my house is worth this.
Exactly.
So, let's go into a breakdown of what Zestimates, how those are calculated.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are...
You mean Santa Claus doesn't just make those up for us?
Yes, no. Those aren't appraisers behind the scenes that are, I don't know what people think's going on there, but there are some cities. You got to understand that is a nationwide, might be a worldwide portal.
Yeah, international.
It is international
I don't
platform.
know that it is. I never go on there.
Yeah, but they're an international platform. And the way that many cities are structured as far as finding value, it's a common misconception is like go 1 mile out and you can find the value of any homes that are within 1 mile of the subject property and pull the average, right? Well, that's not always the case in Vegas because we have, if you're in Vegas or you live in Vegas, you are very aware, we have subdivisions that are so different
So different. Personality, lot sizes, quality of home build, and it can be just right across the street.
Right across the street.
Yep.
Within 1 mile. And because of that, and because of the variance there, when appraisers go to appraise homes, they go subdivision first.
Right.
If they can find enough data in that subdivision to find value on that home, they have no reason to go a mile out, and they won't. Subdivision will supersede anything within a mile. Well, Zillow's a computer.
Yeah, so it's all an algorithm.
An algorithm.
Right.
So it goes, within 1 mile radius, and it just, if you have a 3-bedroom with a pool, and then, it can pull 3-bedroom with a pool. But it doesn't know the specifics on subdivision or what else is there to narrow it down. So those numbers sometimes they're right, but many times they can be wrong.
Yeah, and they're close sometimes. Right? And then sometimes I've seen them so far off base, it's like, I don't even know where they came up with this number. But the algorithm does take the basics. Here, we have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a pool within a mile. This is what they go for. We average them out, and it's all done. That varies from subdivision to subdivision, and then that very much goes with our saying of always hire somebody who knows how to run the right CMA. You might go on Zillow, I said it. You might go on Zillow to sort of see what's out in the world and like the beginning starting of your process. But when you really start to buckle down and think like, okay, I want to know what it's going to take to sell my house, where I can move, whatever, then one of the most important pitfalls to avoid is that sort of do it yourself. Hire a professional that knows the market conditions, that can do the comp, that can be specific to that subdivision, and really get you the information that you need to make an educated decision. Because if you're in real estate, days on market on an overpriced home are like kryptonite. I've said it on this show plenty of times.
Yeah.
I know we say it out in the world. As soon as somebody sees days on market, the average person, what's the first thing they see when they say hi, days on market?
What's wrong with it?
What's wrong with that house?
Yeah, no one else wants it. Why do I?
Yeah, and you're like, and then you try as an agent, be like, well, it could just be a pricing issue. I ran the comps. It's a little bit overpriced. Nobody wants to go see it. Well, whatever the situation to that specific house is, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's something wrong with the house. There's something wrong with the marketing strategy.
Right. And there's a good rule of thumb that that I learned like in the beginning on how to gauge if you're priced right or not. Because again, we're realtors. We don't know we can price a home based on, market reports, based off the data that we look at, that we review, everything. I mean, that's what we go by. But the ultimate decision is the market. When you put the home on the market, the reaction that you get from the buyers, if the market is not responding to the home, the market's not willing to buy the home. And that is one thing that's out of our control.
That is 100% out of our control. And when people always ask me that, they're like, well, what would you price my house? And I'm like, I wouldn't price your house for anything. That's not my job. The market determines price, period. End of conversation.
Absolutely. So if you're not getting between 3 to 5 showings a week, or any showings at all, that's an indicator that the market is saying, I'm not willing to pay that price for that location, for that home. Not even willing to go out and take a look at it. That just means that they're not interested. That's like, if you had a retail store and no one came in, no one's interested in your product, like you.
That's like, we hate to be the one to break it to you, but nah.
Yeah, but that correction can always be fixed in pricing.
Yeah,
always be fixed in pricing. So it's not a matter like no one's ever going to buy my home. No, every home will sell when priced right.
Yeah.
So it's always that is always a pricing issue. No showings, no activity is always a pricing issue. Unless there are times where I've seen like horrible marketing, like really bad photos and things like that. And that's presentation. Yes. Yeah. But
photos.
But if your presentation's good and you took time to get your home ready, and your pricing is probably the issue there.
Right. And so there's the flip side to that coin too. Instead of overpricing, underpricing can be a pitfall.
Underpricing can be a pitfall in this market.
Yeah.
And the reason why, like in some markets where we have a lot of activity, underpricing can actually help you get a higher price because it creates a bidding war.
Well, it's a great way to start a frenzy.
Yeah. but we're in a pool of, we have a smaller pool of buyers right now. So I feel like that strategy can hurt you.
Yep.
Because there's not as many buyers out there to bid that price up.
Right. The competition in the buyer market is not insane enough, which is crazy because we're in a seller's market. But with those high interest rates, they really are thinking about, if I'm going to spend all of that money, I want it to be exactly what I want it to be.
Yeah.
Yep. And even a under market priced home, if it isn't in good condition doing the beauty pageant that you were talking about earlier, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But it's also, if you underprice from the jump, it also leaves money on the table that could be lost. So that's an issue.
Yeah, that's one thing is you can always adjust down, but it kind of looks bad when you adjust up. And we see that a lot where
We do
people
see
are
it a
doing
lot.
price increases.
Yeah.
So, even when
And those people come across to the average person, like Days on Market comes across as what's wrong with the house. When people start pushing the price up, buyers are always like, oh, they're greedy. I don't want to work with them. I don't want to buy their house. They're greedy.
or they look back to what the price was and they say, we're offering that price. Like, what they do increasing it for?
Yeah. Remember when it was $10,000 cheaper? That's the price we're going to go for.
Yeah, and so one thing that I get a lot is sellers will want to overprice it to leave room for negotiations, but they don't realize that that's actually hurting them in negotiations, because if it's overpriced and there's nothing supporting the data, these buyers agents usually do their due diligence when they're working with their buyers to show them the comps and everything. And if there's nothing to justify that price, they're still going to offer under. So overpricing it just kind of eliminates some of your buyer pool rather than helping you with negotiations.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, so that is, that's something to be careful of, be aware of. And then emotional attachments and understanding the resale value of your upgrades.
Emotional attachments is such a big deal in real estate. I think there's just a handful of occupations in the world that you have to deal with so much emotion with people, and that emotional attachment shows up in so many different ways. But a lot of times sellers have lived in a home and they love the home and they are trying to find value monetarily to that emotion.
Yeah.
This is the greatest house. This is the best house. We have roofs and walls and we have a ceiling.
I raised my children here, and you see that little notch on the wall? That's as they grew, I marked it, and that's amazing. And the buyers are like, what is going on over there? I need to paint that.
Right, because as a buyer, this is still just a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and it's like every other 2-bedroom, 3-bath, or 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Like, what makes this house different? Why am I putting all my money here? And your emotion has nothing to do with my purchase.
Yes. And upgrades. So I can't even tell you the amount of times where, we go and someone says, I spent, $20,000 on this kitchen remodel. And it's great, but that doesn't add $20,000 to the price, no matter how good it is.
Right. Well, because you had a working kitchen and now you have a working kitchen. Congratulations. Yes. Apples for apples.
Well, the upgrade does have some value. It attracts more people. It makes it more attractive to the buyer. It makes it more presentable. It has value in the wow factor, which will bring in more buyers.
Makes it more saleable.
Sellable, yes. More presentable, more sellable. Right. But you're not going to get dollar for dollar for the upgrades you put in it. No. And let's talk about pools.
You're never going to get a dollar for that.
Yeah, no. You put $100,000 into your pool, you're lucky if an appraiser gives you 40 to 50.
Yeah,
and that's very generous of an appraiser to give you 40 or 50.
So 10 years ago, you could put like a $30,000 pool in, and you'd get like 15 to 20% of that back. But now, with the price of putting pools in the valley, going up to 80, 100 grand for a postage stamp pool, you're not going to get 80 to 100 grand in value of purchase price for that. That don't happen.
Yeah. So those are, things to understand. If you're adding upgrades, and there's so many times I talk to people and they're like, oh, should I do these renovations? Should I do these upgrades before I list? And You could do those if you want to. Well, for one, if the house is distressed or like, the kitchen's falling apart, that's probably going to be needed because they're not going to.
Is that at that point, is that considered an upgrade or maintenance?
Maintenance, right?
Yeah, you got to have a
Buyers are going to
functioning
look
kitchen.
in, your cabinet doors are all falling off and something, yes, do something about that. But, if your home is in, overall great condition and you just want to upgrade it to more modern, yes, that is going to help bring more people into the home and attract people to the home.
Yep, looks good in
But
photos.
you're not
Get you
getting
some
dollar
attention.
for dollar.
No, you're not.
No, you're not getting dollar for dollar back on the money you spend. Or, sometimes people will say like, oh, if I put $20,000 in the kitchen, I get $50,000 back. And I'm like, that's great math, but that's not the way that it works.
So, the trends that are going around on TikTok and Reels where they're talking about girl math and boy math and gay math, that's realtor math.
Yeah.
Or I should say that's seller math. I'm going to put $20,000 in, it's going to get me $50,000 back. I don't know what universe that's coming from.
Yeah. So, not in this market. Maybe 2021 market. Yeah, like anything you did. You didn't.
Well,
need to
in
put money into it.
2021, you could take out all the appliances and still get $50,000 more than what the house is worth.
Yeah, you could do
that
nothing.
was a whole weird space. We won't talk about that.
That was a different market. But where we're at today, people are being a lot more just really conservative on the way that they're making offers, what they're expecting in a home, what is the as is. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not even going to sweep the floor. Doesn't work. Yeah, does not work anymore.
Not here.
Yeah, no, it's and there's even like times where we've had things like the countertops are outdated and all the buyers, or they're chipped or they're like in bad condition, and all the buyers that come through, they're like, oh, I don't like the countertops. And the seller's like, well, I'll just tell them I'll give them a credit for it, to replace. Sometimes that works, but sometimes you don't even get to the negotiation part of it because they're not interested in even talking at that point, And
yeah, well, this whole thing is a dance. You have to price it right to get people in because you can't negotiate to get into a contract until you have folks to do that with. And then once you're in contract, there's also the dance because it comes down to the repairs, the condition of the property, what the home inspection is going to turn out. And for people who price over their market value, you always have the appraisal contingency in that RPA. And so if people get agents who do let them overprice by $50,000, doesn't matter. Once an appraiser gets out there, they're not going to finance that $50,000. So you're just shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah. So why not price it right? Get more buyers in.
Yep.
Maybe have the opportunity to negotiate a better deal. I mean, it's obviously better to negotiate with a few buyers than it is to negotiate with the one that's willing to do, to do it. So you have more opportunity to get a better price by just pricing it right from the beginning and getting in there and, listening to that, understanding that the market does determine it. So, again, if you're 2 weeks, and I know 2 weeks seems like a small amount of time, but all the homes right now are selling between 30 and 90 days. Last month's records, median price range was selling within 30 days. So, if you're 2 weeks and no one's even come out, you haven't gotten any interest on the home, you need to look at that pricing and look at it quick. Yeah. Get it done. Adjust.
Make those adjustments.
Yeah, and it's waiting it out. Is never a good strategy for getting your home sold.
Or for buying a home. Waiting it out is not the name of the real estate game, people.
Yeah,
this is an action sport.
Yeah, and we're seeing that this year, even with rates, the prices are still holding pretty steady. Yeah, there's a little bit of leeway here or there, but the prices are holding pretty steady despite the rates, and that is something that buyers need to understand. Like, they may still go up.
Well, that's one thing that I wanted to sort of bring onto the show, maybe in the month of October, do an episode in regards to all of the news that you hear, seeing that we might be getting more inventory because all these Airbnbs are just sitting now and they weren't the investment that people thought they were, and all these different factors that go into it. Not today's show, of course, but I do want to talk about that because it is a different terrain with these rates being where they are now.
Yeah.
We sort of wrapped our head around 5 and 6%, and it was like, okay, life still goes on. And then 8% really makes people go, Do we need to do this? Are we going to do this? Why do we want to do this? And really evaluate what they're going to move forward on.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes your payments high. We all know that, you know, and the price per square foot is, you know, I mean, it's been raising, you know, and
ticking
that,
up.
you know, that's, you know, so you're getting less home for a higher price and a higher rate, higher payment. So yeah, there's not, it's not the prettiest market out there, but
It is not the prettiest market, and it's going to be a little unattractive, I feel, for a minute, but there's still things that people who are working in the real estate world who have to or want to can still make adjustments and still make deals happen and close deals. They just have to be very, very aware of the environment they're in.
yeah.
And that's what we try and do here every week, is make sure that people know what we're working with and how we're going to navigate these waters.
Yeah, and there's a reason why you hire professionals. So listen to them, take their advice, because
Exactly.
you know, we are not here to not sell your home.
Right. We're like, we really don't want to help. We really don't want to help you do that.
Yeah,
we do. We want to help you. We want to get that deal done for you. We want to do what's best for you. People sometimes call us all the time, and it's not the right time for them to buy or sell. And we're not trying to advocate for them to do something that's not right for them. But if it is right for you, you should know, and you should have a professional be able to assist you with that. Like if somebody wanted to get a hold of you and talk about pricing their home, what that looked like, maybe selling their home, how would they do that?
You can call me on my cell, 702-308-2878. My name's Trish, if you forgot it.
Trish Williams.
Trish Williams. Yes, and Tiana Carroll.
Here
How
I
do
am.
people reach you?
If anybody wants to have a conversation to see about what pricing their house looks like versus that Zestimate, if it's a good time for them, what they can do about it, if their house is in a good condition, just want that help, they can give me a call or shoot me a text at 702-379-9948. I'd be happy to have a conversation and just see where you are in the journey.
Thanks, guys. Tune in next week. We will be here every week at 9:30 every Thursday, and follow us on Instagram at Vegas. At realtycheck.vegas.
There we go.
realtycheck.vegas, which is also our website. So make sure you download our show, like, share, subscribe.
Yeah,
follow
we
us on
appreciate the
social,
support, you
and
guys. Like we said, we're here every Thursday morning just talking about real estate and news that's happening here in the Las Vegas Valley. And join us.
See you next week.
Have a good week, guys. Bye.
Bye.